Greetings, respected viewers. This is George from Ireland, and over a year after President Trump won the Electoral College, it is apposite to reflect why. So, taking things back to a year ago, the Democrats were confident of victory. Hillary was about 3% ahead in the poll of polls, and she felt there was a blue wall. Trump was so horrific that surely the Democrats couldn't fail to lose. The demographics had been moving their way. The Democrats had won the popular vote 5 out of the last 6 times in presidential elections. The Republicans only won in the exceptional circumstance of 2004, with Iraq going on. Trump had been condemned by his own side as despicable, including by Mitt Romney, the previous Republican standard bearer. Trump had never even stood for public office. But this turned out to be an advantage. He was an anti-politician. He could brazen it out. He could condemn the entire failed Washington establishment, unless, of course, they were the ones who condemned him. So he appeared to have this manic level of self-assurance, which many people find appealing, but clearly he'd lost touch with reality. He'd tell the most barefaced, provable lie and just brass it out. And some people were convinced by that. So the unanalytical went for him, and the people who were frankly dim. He's extraordinarily avaricious, boasting he has a fortune of $10 billion. Ford says it's only $5.5 billion. But this extraordinary greed impresses some people. Does being extremely selfish like that, does that suggest that he cares about the ordinary people? I think not. He's bilked many people. He's failed to pay workers. He defrauded students at Trump University, which wasn't a university. He's been sued 4,500 times. The man should be in jail for stealing from the poor again and again. But bullying is attractive to some. They think that that counts as a leadership quality. So there's this extraordinary thuggishness, constantly trying to intimidate people, threatening to sue journalists, which, so far as I know, he's never done. But some people will believe these idle threats. He had an atavistic appeal to white males, to some of those who felt déclassés, particularly maybe proletarians who used to have a decent standard of living and don't anymore. And they choose to scapegoat immigrants, legal immigrants as well, and NAFTA and things like that. 62% of white males voted for him. Trump, he made some anti-Hispanic dog whistle noises about this judge sounds like he's a Mexican because the man had a Hispanic name. Going back to the days when really only white men got to be judges. Obviously, Hispanic Americans have got just as much right to be in the United States as he does, and there have been Hispanic people in the United States since before the United States even existed. His anti-Muslim bigotry, that appealed to people. He's an anti-intellectual. Some people find that alluring as well. His extraordinary cruelty, his boasting that we'd do worse than waterboarding, his complete disregard for the law. He said that he would deliberately kill civilians in the war on terror. How does that make him any morally better than ISIS or Al-Qaeda? He would appeal to both sides in Iraq and Afghanistan, saying he was always against it when in fact he'd been for it. So he would say whatever he calculated was to his immediate advantage, and that did redound to his electoral advantage. Some people are not put off by his insincerity, by his very obvious mendacity. Faux religiosity, that hoodwinked some people. Remember, he's talked about 2 Corinthians. Anyone who reads the Bible knows it's called the second epistle to the Corinthians. Saying he was anti-abortion. Now, I don't think he is, because he used to be pro-abortion. But people didn't see that he wasn't in earnest there. But how can evangelical Christians like him? He's an adulterer, not repentant about it. He's a liar, and lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, as the Bible said. And obviously he stokes hatred against his fellow man. Slagging off John McCain for being captured when Trump dodged the draft on the basis of some minor medical problem, but then claims he's in perfect health to be president. He's opposed to gun control when he used to be for it. Sex criminals will like him because he's obviously bragged on tape, knowing it was being recorded, about all the sex crimes he's committed. 10 women independently accused him of sex crimes against them. So perverts and paedophiles, they like that. When he ran Miss World, he would deliberately go into the changing room when there were girls, as in well under 18, as young as 15, in a state of semi-nudity. So the man, he's a pervert. Pretended to donate money to veterans. Of course, He's far too tight-fisted to ever do that. Some billionaires like Bill Gates have given away huge fortunes, but for Trump, no, it's all for him. He's extremely mean like that. He was lucky he had a good enemy. They said this about Thatcher. She had good enemies because Hillary was so reviled that that drove some people to vote for him, or some people didn't vote at all, who otherwise would have voted Democrat. People felt that had too much of the Clintons. There were bad memories of the rank dishonesty of the Clinton White House. Maybe people have had enough of dynasties after Bush, father and son. Allowing that Gold Star Muslim family to speak at the Democratic Convention, it was a brave and moral thing to do, but possibly electorally disadvantageous. Hillary is pro-abortion, as are most Americans. Now, I don't agree with her on that, but I'll hand this to her. She believes what she says on that issue and has been consistent for half a century, unlike Trump. So it seemed to be an unpopularity contest. Who was reviled by more people? And they both had hugely negative ratings. But the African Americans didn't vote for the Democrats as much as they did before. Obama wasn't as active as perhaps he should have been. So the extraordinary dishonesty of both, I think, put a lot of people off. The minor candidates, the Greens, the Libertarians, the Reform Party, did a bit better. This was a fight with no holds barred, certainly for Trump. There was nothing he wouldn't stoop to. But the prospects are a bit rosier for the Democrats next time. Obviously, much depends on who they choose to put up against Trump. The demographics are moving that way. Now, of course, people are individuals, not just a member of an ethnicity. So it doesn't guarantee victory, but on current trends, they would win next time. Puerto Rico, if they become a state, they wouldn't even be that small a state, and that's heavily Democrat. But there's probably a few years before Puerto Rico is actually admitted to the Union, as they wish to be. One bright spot on the horizon for Trump is that the economy is going fairly well. Apart from that, he's failing in his agenda, and he's not getting rid of affordable care. So most people do want affordable health care. So the Republicans might have to drop that. So there's really a lack of accomplishment for him. You know, he's down to about 33% in the opinion polls. He won't fall much below that because there's some people who are totally irrational, who are willfully blind to his serial dishonesty and find his narcissism impressive. So will Trump win next time? I don't think so. It would be rash to give a firm prediction. As I say, would have to judge it according to who he's up against next time.